Welcome to our immigration briefing show. Today, we've got some lively updates from around the globe. First up, President Donald Trump is stirring the pot by claiming that ICE hasn't gone far enough in their immigration enforcement efforts. He's defending aggressive tactics like car rammings and church raids, saying many deported folks are criminals, including murderers. Quite a bold stance, right? Next, in Chicago, local residents are taking matters into their own hands, forming community patrols and protests to resist federal immigration raids. Despite tensions and some clashes, they emphasize they're peaceful and proud of their city's spirit. It's inspiring to see communities standing up for their neighborhoods. And over in the UK, around 170,000 Hong Kongers have migrated seeking safety and freedom. While many find new opportunities, they also face hurdles like language barriers and social integration. Community efforts are helping, but challenges still lie ahead. Please continue to watch for more details. The Independent vividly captures President Donald Trump's controversial stance on immigration enforcement, revealing his unapologetic belief that ICE's aggressive tactics have yet to reach their full potential. During a CBS interview, Trump boldly declared that ICE hasn't gone far enough, justifying their heavy-handed actions such as ramming cars, smashing windows, and forcibly removing suspected immigrants, including instances where agents tackled crying women in courtrooms. Trump's unwavering support for these methods was rooted in his assertion that many of those targeted are murderers, and he blamed liberal judges appointed by Obama and Biden for hampering immigration efforts. This stance underscores his relentless push for mass deportations, despite widespread protests and legal challenges, with federal courts repeatedly ruling against his administration's detention and deportation policies, emphasizing the ongoing tension between enforcement zeal and constitutional rights. South China Morning Post vividly reports on Trump's unapologetic endorsement of the increasingly controversial immigration raids, emphasizing that his belief they haven't gone far enough reflects his campaign's hardline stance. His justification hinges on the idea that current judicial roadblocks, which he attributes to liberal judges, prevent effective removal of suspected criminals and undocumented immigrants. The interview highlights disturbing images of agents tackling suspects and deploying tear gas, which Trump defends as necessary for getting the people out. His commitment to deportation efforts has ignited protests across the U.S., especially in Democratic-led cities, where local authorities challenge his authority to deploy National Guard troops and conduct aggressive operations, revealing a stark divide over immigration policies amid the political turmoil. Australian Broadcasting Corporation offers a stark analysis of Australia's persistent housing affordability crisis, illustrating how rising house prices have fundamentally reshaped society. Despite the Reserve Bank's decision to keep interest rates steady, the surge in house prices, up 8.6% over a year, continues to outpace income growth, deepening the divide between housing costs and earning power. The article vividly describes how the housing market has become increasingly inaccessible, with prices rising faster than wages, leading to more reliance on inheritance, lifelong renting, and a banking-dominated economy. It also critically examines government efforts to boost supply through high-density development and immigration, revealing that the focus on building apartments rather than standalone houses risks further entrenching inequality, especially as migration, particularly students, continues to swell without a coherent policy linking population growth to infrastructure capacity, leaving Australia grappling with a social and economic dilemma that shows no signs of easing. The Sydney Morning Herald reports that John O'Donoghue, the new Shadow Home Affairs Minister for the Coalition, aims to calm the heated immigration debate by promoting a more professional, united message. Donoghue emphasizes the importance of transparency and leadership in addressing community concerns about population growth, criticizing the Albanese government's silence on migration targets as fueling conspiracy theories. He advocates for a gradual, evidence-based approach to reducing migration levels, rejecting the idea of fixed numbers or targeting specific visa groups, and instead focusing on Australia's infrastructure needs and social services. Donoghue's stance signals a potential shift towards moderation within the party, seeking to rebuild trust and reduce internal conflicts over immigration policies. In Chicago, local residents have organized a vigorous, neighborhood-by-neighborhood resistance against federal immigration enforcement. The Chicago Tribune describes how communities, especially in areas like Lakeview and Little Village, have mobilized social media networks and community groups to slow down or block ICE operations. Protesters have used whistles, social media intelligence, and even physical barricades to protect their neighborhoods, with some incidents escalating into tear gas exchanges and confrontations. This grassroots effort reflects a broader sense of local solidarity, with residents asserting that Chicago is not a violent city and actively defending their communities from what they perceive as overreach and intimidation by immigration authorities. The article highlights the city's unique, decentralized response to federal enforcement, emphasizing community resilience and activism. Nikkei Asia details the experiences of Hong Kongers who have migrated to Britain under the BNO visa scheme, revealing both success stories and struggles. Helen, an academic who moved to London for political freedom, exemplifies those who have adapted well, benefiting from London's diversity and cultural scene. Conversely, others face challenges such as language barriers, social isolation, and difficulty securing employment, especially outside major cities. Reports indicate that many Hong Kong migrants, particularly the elderly or those with limited English, feel disconnected or face financial hardships, leading some to return to Hong Kong or experience family breakdowns. The studies underscore the importance of language skills and community support in integration, while also highlighting the emotional and practical costs of migration amid political tensions and economic pressures. BBC reports vividly depict the escalating enforcement tactics under President Donald Trump's administration, highlighting the controversial use of Immigration and Customs Enforcement (ICE) operations aimed at executing the largest deportation drive in U.S. history. The coverage emphasizes the deployment of aggressive tactics, including widespread raids that have sparked protests across major cities like Los Angeles and Chicago. Tracking over 70 videos, BBC illustrates how federal agents have employed force, including the use of tear gas and physical confrontations, to apprehend undocumented immigrants, revealing a climate of tension and resistance. These operations have not only intensified in scope but also in their confrontational nature, prompting public outcry and demands for accountability amid fears of community destabilization. The Independent sheds light on the Department of Homeland Security's controversial consideration of hiring private bounty hunters to locate and detain immigrants, a move described as employing private bounty hunters by some media outlets. This proposal involves contracting private firms to perform skip tracing, an investigative process to locate individuals who have disappeared, potentially assigning them thousands of cases simultaneously and even offering monetary bonuses for successful identifications. Kristi Noem, leading DHS, is contemplating incentivizing performance, raising ethical questions about privatization and the militarization of immigration enforcement. Meanwhile, protests and political debates intensify, with Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker urging a pause in federal operations during Halloween to protect families from the chaos of raids, a plea that has ignited further political friction, with Noem criticizing the governor's stance as shameful. In Evanston, community members and local officials express profound concern over the violent confrontations during federal immigration enforcement, as reported by Yahoo US. Tensions peaked when federal agents, attempting to arrest individuals during a raid, were met with resistance, leading to a car crash and physical altercations captured on cell phone videos. Witnesses describe scenes of chaos, agents dragging out civilians, one video showing an agent punching a man, and threats of violence against bystanders. The Evanston police are actively investigating these incidents, which have disrupted local schools and fostered fear among residents. The situation underscores the volatile atmosphere surrounding immigration enforcement, with protests erupting outside detention centers and arrests of protesters, reflecting a community deeply unsettled by the aggressive tactics employed by federal authorities and the potential for escalation of violence. The Guardian reports that President Donald Trump, emphasizing his America First foreign policy, has issued a stark warning about Nigeria, threatening military intervention over the alleged persecution and killings of Christians. Trump instructed the Pentagon to prepare for possible action, vowing that if Nigeria continues its violence, the U.S. might cease aid and launch a swift, aggressive strike against Islamic terrorists responsible for these atrocities. This threat comes after Nigeria's President, Bola Tinubu, publicly dismissed Trump's designation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern, criticizing the U.S. for interfering in Nigeria's internal affairs and its handling of religious persecution. The situation underscores the tense diplomatic and military posture Trump is willing to adopt in response to religious violence, framing it as a matter of protecting Christian communities and national interests. The Associated Press highlights a disturbing incident involving U.S. immigration enforcement in Evanston, Illinois, where federal agents violently arrested 3 individuals following a car collision with a Border Patrol vehicle. Videos circulating on social media depict agents punching a restrained man and deploying pepper spray amid a chaotic scene that drew community outrage. Local officials condemned the excessive use of force, with Evanston's mayor calling the agents' actions an outrage and urging the removal of ICE from the city. The Department of Homeland Security claimed the agents acted defensively after being assaulted and provoked by a hostile crowd, but community members and witnesses described a scene of brutality and intimidation, reflecting ongoing tensions over immigration policies and enforcement tactics in the region. Meanwhile, the AP also reports on the resilience of Latino communities celebrating Dia de Muertos in the face of intensified immigration crackdowns, particularly in Minnesota and Los Angeles. Despite fears of deportation and increased enforcement, thousands gathered for joyful Day of the Dead festivities, honoring loved ones and maintaining cultural traditions that date back centuries. Participants emphasized the importance of these celebrations as acts of resistance and cultural pride, transforming grief into communal strength through vibrant altars, music, and dance. In Los Angeles, protests included altars dedicated to victims of detention and violence, illustrating how the holiday has evolved into a powerful platform for political expression and social justice, even amid heightened immigration fears. These gatherings exemplify the enduring spirit of cultural identity and community cohesion amidst adversity. The Washington Post reports a disturbing incident in Ontario where a U.S. citizen, Carlos Jimenez, was shot by ICE agents during a raid. The community and Congresswoman Norma Torres are demanding transparency and accountability, criticizing the aggressive tactics employed by heavily armed, masked officers who storm neighborhoods without clear identification or warrants. ICE claims Jimenez attempted to run them over with his car during a traffic stop gone awry, but witnesses and family members describe a chaotic scene where Jimenez was shot and later released from the hospital, facing charges for resisting arrest. Critics argue that these law enforcement actions are often disproportionate and racially motivated, with community leaders condemning the use of force and demanding an end to such aggressive immigration enforcement practices. The Independent highlights the appalling conditions inside a Chicago ICE detention facility, which has become a focal point for protests against the Trump administration's deportation policies. Detainees are reported to be crammed into overcrowded, unsanitary cells with infestations of cockroaches and other pests, lacking basic hygiene and medical care, including menstrual products for women and adequate food. Lawsuits filed by civil rights groups describe detainees sleeping on floors, denied showers, and subjected to violence and abuse by guards, with restrictions on legal counsel and medical treatment. These allegations underscore systemic neglect and inhumane treatment, with advocates arguing that the facility's conditions violate constitutional rights and demand urgent reform amid ongoing legal scrutiny. Yahoo US reports that Trump's immigration crackdown persisted over Halloween, with ICE agents conducting raids in Chicago and Los Angeles, often wearing disturbing masks and engaging in aggressive tactics. In Evanston, Illinois, agents were accused of assaulting residents and forcibly detaining individuals after a car accident involving ICE vehicles, provoking outrage from local officials. Meanwhile, in Los Angeles, agents dressed in horror movie masks, including one resembling Chucky, sparked controversy and protests. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker criticized the aggressive enforcement during a holiday meant for children, calling for a pause in operations, but Homeland Security officials refused, emphasizing their commitment to public safety. The ongoing clashes reflect deep tensions over immigration policies and law enforcement methods, with federal authorities deploying military and National Guard troops in major cities, raising concerns about civil rights and community safety. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.